Hello and welcome to this episode of Political Adda. We have with us a very special guest, former Union Minister Kapil Sibal, who is now, of course, an independent Rajya Sabha MP. And we do not need to go into the fact that he was, of course, a stalwart Congress leader. So Mr. Sibal has announced a platform against injustice called Insaaf. He has reached out, he has appealed to opposition CMs, he's appealed to leaders of the opposition and civil society to come and support him in this fight against injustice. And he's also said that lawyers will be at the forefront of this movement. So, Mr. Sibal, thank you so much for speaking to ThePrint. If you can tell us a little bit about the idea behind this platform. I believe on the 11th of March, there's also a big public meeting in Jantar Mantar. So, a sneak peek into that, what can we expect?
Well, it's like this, that I've been thinking about this for about 1.5 to 2 years as to what we can do in the context of where the country is going. And I had no desire to create or to set up another political party. We set up G23 in the hope that we'll be able to do something politically. That collapsed. And after that, I said to myself that if we can't do something politically within the Congress, then I must do it at an individual level, which is why I made a public statement that I will never join another party. And I am doing this at an individual level in the hope that the people of this country will support me in this agenda. And the agenda is in the context of the fact that anywhere in the world where radical changes have taken place, at the forefront have been lawyers. Whether it's the American War of Independence, you had Thomas Jefferson, you had Adams, when the song was sung of independence, there were 26 lawyers who sang. The American Revolution had behind it lawyers. Our freedom struggle, the kind of Rajagopalachari, Lokmanya Tilak, Mahatma Gandhi, Motilal Nehru, C.R. Das, all lawyers, great stalwarts, led this freedom struggle. So we need to coalesce with the people of this country for yet another struggle.
You mentioned while you were announcing this platform that it disappoints you that at this time in history in India, you find lawyers largely silent. So if you can tell us a little bit more about the role that lawyers will play in Insaaf.
See, the platform that I have set up, which is the website, is insaafkesipahi.co.in. So anybody in the country, including lawyers, can actually be on that platform. So we will know that how many people want to become Insaaf ke Sipahi, right? And really the thought came to me in the context of what the BJP has done over the years. This is not something that will happen tomorrow. The BJP has been able to galvanize support amongst the community by setting up these shakhas within the community, right? And taking that agenda forward. Now, how do you counter that? There's no way to counter it. Political parties will find it difficult to counter it because essentially it is these shakhas are wedded to an ideology, but they also have within it ordinary people who take it forward. So you need to get ordinary people on this platform, and the ideology is justice, and the levels of injustice at every stage in the life of a community, right, are so great. And I think that today they are hurting the lives of people so much that we can actually galvanize people to be a counterpoint to the shakhas themselves, right? Why can't Insaaf ke Sipahi have a meeting in the locality and say कि ये गलत हो रहा है, right? So that's one thought. Well, that's a long-term thing, right? The other thought is to galvanize the people of the country to articulate as to what is happening on the ground, right? The third idea is to give an agenda, a new vision as to how the nation should go forward. A vision different from Modi ji's vision, right? Radically different from Modi ji's vision. Because Modi ji's vision has done some good. I don't dispute it. Some of the programs are good. A large part of that vision has benefited only what I call the creamy layer of society, right? 800 to 900 million people are not touched by that vision, according to me, right? Why do I say that? Because how do you change the structure of education in this country? Nobody is even attempted to do that, right? 80% of all doctors in this country are in the urban centers, and our population are in the rural areas. Nobody's touched upon that. Right? You can have as much of digitalization and all that, but it's not going to help, right? So these are some of the basic issues that we need to address. Issues of poverty, issues of employment. Does your education system cater to the needs of the of the youth of this country when they are hungry for employment? Now, which is that vision that Modi ji has for these people? None. I'll attempt to provide that. That's my thought.
So, sir, when you say it's a non-electoral but political front, how do we differentiate? Like, if you're political and non-electoral, how?
No, it is embedded in politics. Why? Because there is be-insaafi. Be-insaafi is because of politics. Injustice is because of politics. Justice will emerge because of politics. So it is a people's movement, but political in nature, against injustice. What's wrong with that?
Is it an anti-BJP, anti-Modi front?
It is anti the policies of this government, but for the people of this country. You see, if you really look at this government is, according to me, this government, all its policies are versus citizens. I want a government for citizens, right? Imprison him, send ED to his house, send CBI to his house, right? Get students, in UAPA, get them arrested, get teachers arrested, right? These are anti-people policies. The level of tolerance, I have never seen the level of intolerance that I have seen in this country since 2014. I have never seen it. You are now recognized by what caste you belong to. Recognized means you are dealt with, right? Every day there are some encounters that are taking place in some parts of the country. Look at the way the judicial system is functioning at the moment, whether it's a matter of appointments and the kind of judgments that we are getting. These are matters of great concern. Remember, the bedrock of the Constitution is justice.
So where do you stand ideologically? On the left, at the center, on the right?
Actually, it all depends what we're talking about. You see, again, if you ask me that I am by nature on the left, the answer is no. If you ask me if I am by nature on the complete right, the answer is no. And I think that in the world of today, when the world is integrated in large measure, you need to be very nuanced about where your national interest lies. And I think what is for the nation is my ideology.
So what if some BJP leaders want to join you? Would you welcome them?
In what context they want to join?
Join Insaaf.
Sure, absolutely. I'd love for them to join me. It'll just show to Modi ji there's some be-insaafi happening in his party.
So if it's not entirely anti-BJP, say somebody like, say, Congress spokesperson is arrested by Bengal police because he has spoken something against the chief minister.
Yeah, I would say it is wrong.
And would you stand for him?
Why not? I've done it before.
So for common citizens, say somebody from Bihar who is aggrieved, how does Insaaf help him?
Look, now you're talking of two different things altogether. You're now talking about individual instances of injustice. Individual instances of injustice will be dealt with individually at that level itself. For example, when it comes to Supreme Court and somebody needs my help, I'll help. But the fact of the matter is, when you have Insaaf ke Sipahi and lawyers in the forefront, they will deal with it. You see, this has to be a decentralized movement. It can't be a centralized movement. Otherwise, it will fail. Right? What are shakas? They are decentralized. They are not centralized. So the power must flow from the bottom, from the ground.
So you will have the lawyers for them in Delhi, in different high courts.
They will have. Once you're in Insaf ka Sipahi and you're a lawyer, then people will go to him and say, "Yaar, you do this for me."
So it's like building a community where people can...
Yes.
And you'll be helping them pro bono.
We do wherever I charge people who are in difficulty. Whenever you guys have approached me, have I ever charged anybody? When you mean I mean journalists. So I don't charge people like that. I charge those who pay, who can pay.
So you have spoken about how ED acted against, say, 121 leaders so far, out of whom 115 are in the opposition.
Absolutely.
So are you basically saying the central agencies are working just against the opposition parties, or just because they're in opposition parties?
What do you mean by are you saying this? It is just crystal clear. When the sun rises in the east, you know it rises in the east, no? So it's crystal clear. I mean, any man with any element of ordinary intelligence will know that this is the ED is a long arm of the government.
So when you think of bringing all the opposition parties together, now we saw when after Ishadrita the arrest, 8 parties wrote a letter to the Prime Minister. Again, Congress, DMK, JDU did not sign that letter.
You asked the wrong question. When did I say that? I'll bring all parties together. I never said that. I only said parties should join this platform.
So
I didn't say I'll bring all the parties together. Who am I to bring all parties together?
No, if I could just rephrase this question a little bit, do you think this is the platform that's needed before 2024 in which parties can find a common minimum program?
Yes. That's what I meant. I'm not that I'm bringing parties to... Who am I to bring parties together?
No, because the general idea right now is that the opposition parties in India are in a state of disarray. They're not working with each other. So can Insaf be that common minimum program which they can use to come together?
Each of them have been targets of injustice one way or the other. Right? So this can be a common platform through which we all can move forward, because ultimately we have to convey to the people through clear articulation as to what we are up against and how this unjust government, and this is political, this unjust government is destroying step by step everything that is the bedrock of this constitution. Everything.
So at one level you will be fighting their cases in court.
That is a few and far between. Remember, court cases come to court where very few. There are millions of problems that ordinary people face. Legal problems, they'll be dealt with decentralized.
So I just want to understand, when you say, let everybody join me or join Insaf and do, what will you do? You'll be hitting the streets, you'll be fighting it through institutions?
For a moment, let's not go that far. Supposing this agenda succeeds, what will happen? People will call me to the state. Okay, look, we want to join, as people are calling me already, that we want to join this, please come. There'll be a gathering. We'll go there, we'll articulate what I'm saying to you, we'll articulate so that the message reaches people. I mean, I was surprised the other day, I asked a lawyer, I asked him, look, are you going to join me on the 11th? He said, what time am I going to join? I don't know anything about it. Right? And this has been in the national news, so lawyers don't read newspapers. Right? They're more concerned about their cases, right? And to have their presence marked. And so if lawyers who are educated people don't read newspapers, they don't know what's happening around the country. What about ordinary people? So we need to ensure that through the social media, and now social media is a very powerful force, this message reaches the people of this country.
Mr. Sibal, we have a question from one of our viewers, Aditya, and we put out that we were going to be speaking to you. So he's asking, don't you think till a common program and understanding is carved out between all the opposition parties, including the Congress, then the dream of a united opposition remains distant because there is no fixed leader from the opposition side?
1 second, what did JP do? Which was that common political agenda? There was none. So, see, you remember, there is no one way to cook a meal or cook a particular dish. There is no one way. There are millions of ways to have a tasty dish, right? How the dish becomes tasty is because the mother ensures that it becomes tasty, right? Puts the right ingredients. Now, those ingredients, if they happen in this movement forward, I think the people will buy it.
Do you think that do you agree that electorally, like that the government needs to be fought electorally at this point?
There's no other way you can defeat the government.
But then in that context, then how important do you think is the fact that opposition parties need to come together at
Again,
this point?
I think you are again asking the wrong question.
Okay.
How will an opposition party, for example, Tamil Nadu, come together in West Bengal? I mean, what are we talking about? Let's not ask the wrong question. Right? See, if we are able to galvanize the people of this country कि ये सरकार हम सब के साथ बेइंसाफी कर रही है, that's enough. That's enough. Right? Like for example, Modi ji said, मैं आपके लिए अच्छे दिन लाऊंगा. कौन से अच्छे दिन? Nobody knew. But that was enough. Because it gave hope to the people of this country. अब मैं आपके लिए अमृत काल आने वाला है. What is अमृत काल? He has not spelled it out. So that's the point. Politics doesn't necessarily happen on an agenda. Right? It happens in an environment where people feel something wrong is being done. And then they galvanize.
So, Mr. Sibal, last question from me before I hand over to DK. Do you think, and I'm just talking about the normal, common people here, not getting into political parties, do you think there's a sense that this injustice that we are talking about, common people probably don't understand that? For example, like if we talk about, say, data mining, right? So, a person might not understand कि मैं
What
Big
question?
Bazaar जाके
Data mining के आप क्या सवाल पूछ रही हैं?
For example, if we, I mean, if
No,
I
ask a more question that is more relevant to the ordinary people of this
no,
country.
yeah, so-
for example, how do I get a job after class 12?
Yeah, so-
ये पूछो ना.
Okay, so do you think that connection की मुझे नौकरी नहीं मिल
That's
रहा
the
लेकिन
vision.
वो government का है,
नहीं,
that
वो connection
connection we
नहीं.
need
अगर
to,
if I am able to tell, ऐसे हो सकता है.
हाँ,
That's the vision.
okay.
Now, one issue on which you must weigh on is we have been seeing this tussle between the executive and the judiciary today over the collegium system. You were once a very strong advocate of collegium system. Now, given what is happening, how do you see things unfolding now? Which way are we heading?
Terrible. Both solutions at the moment are producing results which are unpalatable. We can't hand it over to the government, and we can't have this collegium system functioning the way it is. Therefore, I'll give that agenda too. That will be part of my vision for tomorrow, what we should do.
What kind of reforms do you think are needed in the collegium system as such? Because people are questioning.
If the collegium system continues, we need to make it more representative. More representative.
Could you be more specific, sir?
Why? You need to get the bar involved in it. Right? You need to get maybe government representative. Right? But the decision-making process must be unanimous. So that nobody can, stall. You see, it's like if you give the decision-making process to one person, whether it's the government or it's even 3 people, right? Unless it is unanimous, and if you involve other players in the system, right, and making it unanimous, you will then ultimately come to a consensus. So the bad pennies will be moved out. I mean, will not come to the court, right? And the level of injustice will be much less in the appointment of judges. I mean, what's the biggest problem in this country today? I'm sorry to say so. And the collegium system, the real problem is that High Court judges look to the Supreme Court for coming to the Supreme Court. Every Chief Justice of the High Court is wanting to come to the Supreme Court, right? So what happens? This is not good. In the other system, every judge would go to the government to come to the Supreme Court. That's also terrible. So we need to devise a system which is more palatable than these two options, right? And which allows the judiciary to function without necessarily having to seek the support either of the government or judges in the Supreme Court. And we can work on it. This is something, but both systems are not functioning properly.
And you say it's going to be part of your Insaaf agenda?
Yes, absolutely. Also the functioning of the judiciary. You see, people today are just not getting justice. People are in jail for years. They don't get bail for years. For what? charge sheets have been filed. Conviction rate is low. What happens to a man who's acquitted after 8 years of jail? What do? There's no accountability. It's a very serious issue. But anyway, we'll talk about this. Don't sort of make me say things that
sorry, you're running short of time. Just a couple of questions. On the 11th, you're going to unveil your agenda, Insaaf agenda. I know you will not get into specifics, but can you give us a broader outline of what exactly?
Wait till the 11th.
But last question, sir, which everybody may be interested in knowing is, what is in it for Mr. Kapil Sibal?
I think I'm 75
because you have already said you will not be...
I'm 75 years old. What can it be for me? What do you want?
Because you have said you will not join any political party in future.
I have said so, and I've shown you that.
And you are not going to contest elections either.
Sorry?
You are not going to contest any election.
I may. That may not be so. I may. I didn't say I won't join another political party, but I may contest an election. I may contest as an independent. Can I? You prevent people. You don't want me to say that.
So coming back to
but at the moment, that is the farthest away from my mind. I have no desire to contest an election at the moment.
So what is in it for Mr. Sibal?
What is in it? My country. That's all. That's what is in it for me. The future of my grandchildren, your children. That's what is in it for me.
Can't beat Mr. Sibal in a war of words. But thank you so much for joining us, sir. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Political Adda. Thanks for watching.